Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Mixed Martial Arts Episode 4. We have Marvin Vettori, and as well we have Uncle Chael Sonnen. What's going on, guys?
Let's
What's
go,
up, dude?
man. Good.
Yeah, Marvin, how you feeling? How's everything
Feeling
going?
good, man. Feeling good.
Good?
Feeling
Awesome,
good.
man. So we're going to take actually some community questions a little bit later, but we're going to kind of introduce you to our community. So for those of you that don't know Marvin, he actually started training martial arts at a young age. What got you into martial arts and what inspired you to be a fighter?
So I always love, like, every time there was like anything like with contact in any sport, I always loved it, And then growing up, I was always getting into fights. And then I'm like, there must be some sport that I can put like my skills and like do something productive, with it. And then at the same time, I was just watching all these videos about like pride and especially Fader. Fader is what got me into like more than everybody else, to be honest. And I remember watching all these documentaries, and I said, "Fucking hell, this is my sport. I have to do this." And then later realizing that the sport pretty much didn't exist in Italy, and so I had to move then eventually to London and then to America. But yeah, that's how I started. Though I was like 15.
Wow. And how was that process of kind of trying to find the right coach? I mean, you're at King's MMA now, Rafael Cordero, but I mean, how was the training you were getting in Italy and kind of finding that right spot where you need to get the efficient training in?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, since day one, and this is about everybody, I think a little bit, but some people have more of a great coach or mentor from the beginning. I had to just figure it out for myself. Like, I knew it was like even like this shaped me from the beginning. Watching Fader got me thinking like I have to be ready wherever the fight goes. This is MMA. It's not just striking. It's not just grappling. So from the get go, I was like, I mean, the first 6 months I just joined an MMA gym, but they were pretty much doing like it wasn't MMA. They were saying it was MMA, but it wasn't MMA. But after 6 months, I'm like, man, these guys are actually like, they need to be able to wrestle. They need to be able to do jiu-jitsu. So I started going all different type of things. And close to where I'm from, 30 minutes, like 45 minutes with a train, there was like a Greco-Roman gym. So I started doing that. Then a little bit closer to me, there was a jiu-jitsu gym. Then I was doing boxing. Boxing is a little bit more popular in Italy. So basically that. And then I was competing for all these in all these disciplines. And I went on like that for like a couple, like 2-3 years. And then eventually I moved to London, a London Shoot Fighters. And even there, I basically realized again that what I was doing, trying to put all things together, yes, it gave me a decent base, but it wasn't really like MMA still,
Mm-hmm.
But I was already fighting anyway, I was just throwing myself into any kind of competition just because in my mind, I'm like, anything is going to help. And it wasn't the wrongest mindset right in the beginning, So, but yeah, that's how I did it in the beginning.
That's crazy. And what kind of support did you have? I mean, coming up, you were still fighting professionally. You're doing what you can with the resources that you had. But what kind of support did you have? Did you have any sponsors, any help coming up? Zero.
None.
Wow. So, I mean, as you're familiar with Marshall Inu, I mean, we're helping a lot of fighters that are coming up as well as guys at the top, champions. So would you have wished that there was something like Marshall Inu as you were coming up through the ranks?
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. Absolutely. I remember looking for any kind of yeah, I was looking for anything that could support me a little bit, but me going up to people like kind of asking, but I'm not the kind of guy, I'm like, if you don't see potential in myself, I'm not the guy that's gonna tell you too much about it. Like, if you see it, good. If not, I know it's not the best approach for like marketing and all that, but like, I know my potential, and I knew from the get go. I knew from day one. So if you don't see it, it's on you. Whatever. I'm gonna figure it out myself. But yeah, I mean, definitely there wasn't much, and definitely something like Marshall Inu, is definitely helping a lot.
And how did you first hear of Marshall? Did you hear us from us contacting you directly, or did you hear it from another fighter? How did you initially hear about
Actually,
it?
I think I actually heard from Edwin Najimi, because he's a very good friend of Arman Tsakurian. So he's like, "Oh, do you know these guys?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. Oh, let me connect you to them." And then so that's how it happened. I think
Wow.
he talked about me to you guys, and then we connected.
Oh, that's awesome. So, guys, let's just a couple hours ago, there was some news on Charles Oliveira. What are your guys' opinions? He missed weight by 0.5, and it's now no longer a title fight. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, Marvin, can I jump in on that one? So this is interesting, and I'm going to take a little victory lap. I was asked yesterday, so this got documented on YouTube. I was asked who I thought was going to win between Oliveira and Gaethje, and my response was Oliveira is not going to make weight. That was a huge claim, and I will fully admit I just threw it out
Wow.
there. Right, but Oliveira does have a history with this. He's missed weight twice. It might be 3 times, not counting today. I know for sure twice, maybe 3 times. That scale is one hell of a component. And when you factor in a pandemic, I mean, everybody's training, Marvin can tell you, everybody's training is different. Everybody's got one thing in common, which is they're getting part of their workouts in their garage alone, or a coach comes over. Like, if you have trouble with the scale, which from a physiology standpoint, losing weight simply is calories out versus calories in. When anybody gets their workouts messed with that has a history of missing weight, look, I will tell you one thing. We have backup fighters now in this sport. It's very common for a backup fighter. I think if we've learned anything, we need to have one every single time. There's no point in 70% or even 80% of the time having a backup fighter. I think that we've learned we've got to do it 100% of the time. For example, there was even talks earlier today with Oliveira missing weight that we move somebody else up, that you move up Chandler into a title fight, you move up Ferguson. However, a championship fight has to make championship weight, and the only person on the card that weighed in at championship weight was Joe Lazon. And that's a pretty tough stretch to say that Joe should go from jerking the curtain to a 5-round world title fight. So we'll just add that. I think it was a great move when the UFC did it to have the backup fighter situation. I think moving forward, we should make a real constant out of it.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like the system where they have, where like Justin Gaethje still gets to win the title and Oliveira lose it regardless, is good, because at the end of the day, Justin Gaethje doesn't get hurt. And in terms of like Oliveira missing weight, like Chael said, he got some history about it. And you got a lot of like people that don't know nothing about this shit saying like, "Oh, you just half pound." It's not just half pound. It's just like you're already to your limit, and then you probably stop sweating and you're still a little bit up, and then in your mind you're ready. And again, I know they're saying that Charles is like, it's changed now and it's not quitting anymore and all that, but this shit shows, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not taking a hit to him, but like this shit relates at times. If you're able to dig where even when you can't dig anymore, you're gonna still probably sweat it out if it's just like less than half a pound, but no, just like less than half a pound. But if you're ready to your limit and you don't want to do it, I mean, even though you're the champ, you don't do it anymore. And again, you being the champion, man, come on, you gotta be able to make weight. And because I get it, like it's the last part, like the last 24 hours where you gotta sweat it out, but it's really actually a miscalculation throughout the whole camp, because otherwise you need to know your body. You're at that level, man. I mean, Charles Oliveira, not just a champion, but how many UFC fights does he have? So he should know his body by now. And I get it, every time is different, but at that level, you cannot miss weight, man. At that level, you cannot. And man, it happened to Chael, right? Where like he didn't win the WEC one time, and at that time, actually, you won, but they didn't give you the title. That was fucked up. I still remember that.
and even for you, Marvin, actually early on in your career, that happened in Europe for Venator FC, I believe, where it was the same exact situation where your opponent had the opportunity to win the belt, and then even if you won, you didn't get the opportunity really early on in your career. But what are your guys' thoughts on just weight cutting in general? I know a lot of people have different opinions of it, and like you said, Marvin, a lot of the guys they don't really know if they're not involved in MMA. They don't really know the process of cutting weight and everything that could be in between. So people say, "Oh yeah, it's just a half a pound," but like you explained, you're already at your limit. So what are your guys' thoughts on just weight cutting in general for MMA?
Yeah, Oliveira did not need to lose half a pound. Oliveira had to lose another half a pound. And this has never happened to me. It's called what's going dry. I've never done it. No matter how bad I was hurting, I could always sweat a little more. But I can tell you I have seen it. I know some guys whose body went dry. Miami one time cut weight for it was a wrestling tournament. It was 108 degrees out. A guy named Dennis Hall, who went on to be a world champion, Olympic silver medalist, very decorated, but he couldn't sweat. He had his plastics on. He was running. I mean, his body, it had just simply gone dry. So I can only imagine the agony and the pain that Oliveira went through. And I think a lot of us want to lash out and punish him. And I find myself doing that. I'm a little bit angry that a champion, the leader of a division, the main event that had millions of dollars put behind him, people that bought tickets are coming. I'm a little mad that he did this. The other side of the coin is Justin Gaethje did nothing wrong. So we don't want to punish Justin. Justin is supposed to show up and fight for up to 25 minutes. He's supposed to have an opportunity to win a world championship, and it's supposed to be in his hometown or home state of Arizona. It's supposed to be against Charles Oliveira. So as the promoter, Dana White, you want to come as close as you can to delivering the audience who bought tickets what you promised to bring them. And I only bring that to you because there's a big discussion going on, whether you guys have heard it or not, if you should change the card around. If you have a world title fight, particularly in a more sensitive topic that happens to be women, and you don't feature them as the main event, what does that say about you? And I'm going, well, I get that, but don't forget the other side of the coin, which is Justin Gaethje did nothing wrong, and Justin Gaethje should not be punished.
And the fight is still that fight. It's nothing changed. The fight is still them two fighting. So I agree on not changing, to be honest.
Well, on that, I know I'd love to jump because I know the three of you are all professional fighters. Talking on that, how do you guys feel? Like, do you feel that it was unprofessional, the fact that Charles was unable to make it, or are you willing to cut him a little bit of slack just because it is tough to be able to meet the demand of cutting weight?
Nah, man, it was unprofessional. There is no other way to call it. Like, because either way, like, it's like saying you can make up all these excuses that could have sense, but we know about this. Like, everybody knows about this. These results that talks. It's not about the effort. It's not about I had this, I had that. Like, if you sign up, you sign the contract. You say you're actually saying you're going to be able to do what you said you're going to do at that day, in that moment. So there's not excuses for that. And I believe, like I said, it's really like a miscalculation. It's not the weight cut of the water sweating out the last 24 hours. It's really just a miscalculation. And for a title fight, defending your own title, there shouldn't be any miscalculation.
Yeah, in our industry, it's definitely looked at as very bad. I mean, we only have a few rules. Don't bite the guy, don't kick him when he's down, and you got to make weight the day before. It's a big deal, particularly when you're the leader of the division. I look back at just to use Marvin as an example, but what he went through, it was different. Paulo Costa called ahead of time. He said, I am not going to do what I think Paulo even called in twice and had to change the weight twice. But I only bring that to you because it's very significant. Just by example, if Charles would have called yesterday and said, I can't meet my obligation, they could have gotten out a piece of paper, changed the weight class like what they did with Marvin. He would still be champion. It would be a non-title fight, but he would still be champion. He could have just not shown up at all. He could have claimed COVID. He could have, my shoulder hurts. I mean, there's a million different things that he could have done to get out of this fight and retain the championship. It's bad. It's about as bad as it gets. It's extremely unprofessional. I don't want to kick anybody when they're down, but as fighters, we don't ever give a guy slack if he misses weight, man. It's bad. We look at him differently.
Yeah. I mean, I respect him more than actually pulling out and claiming he has some kind of fake injury, but no, definitely, man.
Yeah. Well, speaking of weight classes, Marvin, your last fight was at light heavy. What do you see your future as far as the weight divisions go? Do you want to stick to middleweight, or do you want to go up to light heavy?
No, I'm a stick to middleweight because that's what I set my mind to accomplish the accomplishment of becoming a middleweight world champion at first. But But I mean, I look at the light heavyweight division and I'm like, geez, I could get that too. To be honest, I was seeing I was seeing Blachowicz at the PI the other day, and I'm like, fucking hell, I can get that guy. I know for a fact I can do it. And I spar on Kalaev, which I think is a top dog, even though he's not fighting for the title. But I spar on Kalaev every time I get there, and I love sparring, and he's a great guy, and like we always get good training. But so I'm not just talking out of my ass. I know the level, and I actually believe that he's the top dog, and he could actually beat both of either Blachowicz and Teixeira. But I mean, I could definitely do well there. But for now, I'm just I wanna get after the middleweight championship for sure.
Okay, awesome. And I know we're talking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bryce.
No worries. Yeah, I know everyone's curious. Obviously, you were supposed to be fighting next month in Singapore. Unfortunately, Robert Whittaker had to pull out, and so I know everyone's curious. How's it looking for you? So, do you have any replacement fight coming up, or?
We'll see. I mean, I saw Whittaker calling out for September, but I think September's a little too far out, to be honest with you. So, if they give me something like halfway July or something, I'll do it. I'll do it, and then I'll be like, Whittaker, you wanted me to wait, then you wait another couple months, and we do it in November or something like that, because yeah, I mean, like I cannot always fight on other people's terms, Last fight, like people always like out of my last 8 fights, 7 times people had something, It can't be like that. Like last time I did everything just to keep it together, and the guy like showed up like basically 20 plus pounds over. I don't even remember. A few times they changed it on the fight week. Like I was supposed to fight there until then I fight Kevin Holland. Like, I mean, it's some shit always happens. So not that I care, it's still good. But yeah, man, I mean, you cannot just like, oh, okay, September, mess up all my plans and like, okay, I'm going to wait for you whenever you're ready. Doesn't work like that. So if they do give me a fight on July and I feel like it makes sense, I'll do it. And then I'll be like, hopefully I don't get any injury in the meanwhile or through the fight or nothing like that. And then I'm like, yeah, October, November or something. Let's rerun it.
And how do you feel sometimes that balance is with always trying to stay prepared for a fight? Obviously, the intensity goes up, but also trying to prevent any injuries while you're trying to prepare for maybe either a short notice fight or just always preparing to be ready. Where do you find that balance all the time in training?
Yeah, with experience. I mean, with experience, you don't need to just. And I mean, it's crazy that I say it because if you talk to all my training partners, they're like, "Oh, this guy's a man when he always goes hard." But with experience, I mean, you should be able to always go even harder, but when you need to go hard, and know when you don't have to go hard all the time. So, and like your training changes a little bit more than like unless and always sparring, like just free sparring. You do more specific training. You work more on technique. Like we're going with experience. You realize technique is king, and technique is always going to save your ass on everything. You don't want to like grind everything out. You just want to refine your technique over and over, and that will like overall like let you like burn yourself out less and still be sharp.
And Chael, I would actually love to hear your opinion on that as well. You being the most experienced out of all of us, how you balance injuries and preparing for fights coming up.
Yeah, it's tough. I got to tell you, and I don't say this to sound like a tough guy, but I've been competing since I was 9 years old. I have no idea what it feels like to feel great. Like I'll hear people say that. I have no idea. You always got something wrapped up. Your fingers are wrapped or your ears swollen. Like there's always something. And I will tell you, and I bet you Vettori will back me up on this. You always feel sick before a fight, but it's the ultimate petri dish to feel sick. First off, you're overtrained. Second off, you're underslept. And third, you're malnourished. I mean, right? Like that's just the recipe for making weight and going through the process. As soon as you accept that, though, as soon as you realize that normal is something different, And people will always ask you that, particularly on fight day. Everybody you see on fight day will come up and go, "Are you ready?" Like, it's just something that comes out of their mouth. It could be your own mother. It'll be your coach, a fan that you see in the lobby. Everybody will say those words to you, "Are you ready?" And you always say yes. But the truth is, you're never ready. Eventually, it's just your turn. Like, when you're in the back and you're warming up, just let me know when my music's about to hit. Whenever that is, I will walk out there, whether I feel like it or not.
Mhm.
No, absolutely. Yeah, the mind play games. It's always like that. But like Charles said, you gotta accept it. You gotta accept it. That's the key.
No, and I realize we have Ian Heinisch on board. Ian, welcome. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, no, I agree with everything you're saying. The only injuries, that have really sat out was a torn knee, MCL, LCL, and, you're boxing within 2 weeks. Unfortunately, this has been the craziest injury, and it's a concussion, and you can't really train through that. I tried, and I made it 10 times worse. So this is the only injury I've had to take like 4 months off, like completely, not just not training at all. I'm swimming, I'm hitting mitts, and I'm doing yoga, anything that I can do to not make the concussion worse, irritated, bring on the headaches. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, bro, you're always bruised up. You're always 70%. You're always in the gym, training over injuries, training through injuries, and just working around it, essentially. So, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, guys. All right, what are we thinking for the rest of the card this weekend?
So remind me the fights really quick.
Well, we have Rose Namajunas. We have her fight. I'll bring up the full card in a minute, but I believe the next fight we're going to go in order.
There's Chandler and Ferguson.
Yeah.
There's Rose and Carla Esparza. There's Gaethje and Oliveira, right? Donald Cerrone, Cowboy, and Joe Lazon, 2 legends. I know Chael and I talked about that on Spaces for a bit. And then to round out the main card, it's Shogun Hua versus Ovin St. Preux.
Oh, Shogun is fighting St. Preux again.
Yes.
Yeah, man, great fights. I mean, I think Rose a little bit too slick and a little bit too good in general for Carla, maybe. And then who else? Chandler Ferguson. I would love Ferguson to see him come back, to be honest. We'll see, but it's definitely a good fight. And then Cerrone Lawson. Yeah, I mean, Cerrone performed really well in these kind of fights. Like when he's against old dogs like that, like he feels like, I'm number one king of like the old dogs kind of thing, and he always performs well. So, yeah, no, definitely great fights.
And I'll
Awesome.
tell you, can I make one observation for the girls' fight? In my life, I have never seen a title fight more under discussed than this one. And even the UFC, some people would call it under promoted, but I've known these girls are going to fight for 2 months. That announcement, I mean, everybody got a full training camp. I found out 6 days ago that it's this Saturday. I had no idea. Nobody's discussed that, and I don't know why. And I mean, if you were to start at the very beginning, like, this is a rematch, you'd be stunned how few of people within MMA know that. People will even argue with you and go, no, these two have never fought before. Yes, they did. Not only did they fight, it wasn't very competitive. It was Carla Esparza, and it was very dominant. She just took her down and kept her there. Rose is the one that demanded this fight. Like, Carla did everything right. She really deserves our respect. To be the champion and to get knocked off and have to climb all the way back.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah, it's not just a physical test. It's like such a mental battle. And she did that. She deserves a lot of credit, but the UFC wasn't going to give it to her. She got the top ranking. She had all the wins. They were not going to give it to her. It was Rose that stepped forward and demanded, I want this one back. I'll put everything on the line, including my title. Get me in there with her. And I think there's a lot to be said for it. Like, if you were to ask yourself, who wants it more? The girl that climbed back after getting knocked off, or the sitting champion who's willing to risk everything just to right that wrong? I think it's a very compelling match. I'm stunned that more people aren't talking about it.
No, you're right. Yeah, I never like it when there's such a difference in terms of promotion, and when like there's one guy that is given for like for loss, basically for like the like counted out, and I mean yeah, you're right. It's a rematch. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And I guess if I didn't think, a lot of people didn't any also.
Yeah. Hey, Bryce, can I share the screen real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, it's crazy. You got 2 title fights, and you got Charles Oliveira. Obviously, he missed weight. He cannot be eligible to win the title. You got Justin Gaethje, the highlight reel, the walking highlight reel. Yeah, and then like you said, Chael, you do have a rematch here. And, Rose got knocked off of being the champion. She climbed her way back up. But Carla Esparza's climb was so much greater, so much harder. And, it just took a lot longer. So she's super hungry. And then you got, of course, Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson. That fight's going to be insane. You got Michael Chandler with just a ton of hype behind him. And Tony Ferguson, just the OG who needs to have this comeback. He needs this win. And what I love about this fight card, it's the new school and the old school. Then you got Mauricio Shogun Rua, Oven St. Preux, and that's just going to be a heavyweight banger. And then, of course, Donald Cerrone, Joe Lazone, 2 OGs in the game that always put on exciting fights. And not only just the main card, it's the prelims too, right? You got Chaos Williams, Randy Brown, Chaos.
Oh, that's a good fight. That's a good fight.
That's a good fight, right? And also Francisco Trinaldo.
Brown will get it though.
Another good fight right here. And you got a good girls fight. And then, of course, my boy, Brandon Royval, the flyweight exciting fighter against I'm not too familiar with Matt, but
Matt has been there forever too.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him around. It's just I didn't really start following that division that much until as of late.
Blagoy. Oh, okay. Nice. I saw him the other day. I didn't even know he was fighting.
Yep. And then you have Andre Fialho, a teammate of mine who just fought 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't like an easy knockout. Like it was a pretty tough fight. It was competitive, and then he did get the knockout. This is going to be another good fight. So I mean the card is just stacked top to bottom.
And for those of you that are watching, you can actually Mystic Bets is doing a contest where you could win $25K MRI. So if you place a bet on Mystic Bets on any one of these fights, I believe the contest is on Twitter. You comment your bet ID and you retweet. You have a chance to 1, get a nice win from your bet, and then 2, win 25K MRI tokens. So those of you that don't know, definitely go to Mystic Bets and place your bet on those fights.
Nice.
All right, guys.
Cowboy versus Lazon, by the way, like that marketing will always work for any promoter all the way to Vince McMahon. Like loser leave town. You just have to sit and watch it. But I have a different perspective. In many ways, it would warm my heart if whoever gets beat calls it a career. But if whoever wins calls it a career as well. Like there's something within fighters where we hang in there until we can't anymore. We all go out face down embarrassed and 2 years too late. Like there would be something cool if a guy got to go out on his own terms, which is just like not within the psyche of a fighter. They always go, well, I won and I'm owed another fight. Yeah, but at some point you don't have to take it. And I would like to see both of those guys. I hope for a competitive match and all that nice stuff you're supposed to say, but I would like to see both guys hug it out and say goodbye. At some point you fought your last fight. I think we're there. I think we should go enjoy this and move on.
I agree.
Claudio, what's up, brother? Claudio is in. How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm here in Arizona. Just got here today, and very excited for the fights tomorrow. I'm also very excited to talk to you guys about them.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, man. Claudio is coming off. If you're not familiar, he's coming off a huge victory off Clay Guida. He knee barred him. I think it's his 3rd finish with a knee bar. And it's crazy because I train in the same gym with this guy. And it's not like he's over there practicing knee bars every day. It just seems like he pulls it off in the fight. And, obviously against wrestlers, they're a little bit susceptible to that. They usually try to roll out, which makes this knee bar even tighter. And Claudio, you snatch that knee bar so fast, such clean technique. What's been the ingredient of your success? I think you're on a 5-fight win streak right now. And 5-fight win streak right now. And before you were fighting only once a year, and now you're like exploding on the scene and really climbing the rankings. What's the difference? What's the secret to that?
I think being in the States is a difference. Like getting to train like with you and all the other dudes at Sanford like has helped me a lot progress and grow as a fighter. Seeing all this competitiveness in the room is just like a different vibe, and it made me like do 3 fights in a year in the UFC for the first time, and yeah, I think that's something important to compete very often. That's what matters the most. Well, about the knee bar, I just think I do it when it matters the most. It doesn't mean anything to like tapping people out of the gym or trying to like hurt it, like training partners, but doing it when it matters. Like that's in the fights.
I believe that's your 3rd knee bar that you've won by in a fight. You have 7 submission wins. For the people that are new to you, especially the MRI community, tell us a little bit about your background. What was it like growing up in Peru, training, maybe some of your jiu-jitsu background?
Well, growing up in Peru, I played a lot of sports, did a lot of different things. I did a lot of jiu-jitsu and luta libre. I got my black belt in both, like about somewhere around like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. I don't remember the time like perfectly, but I've been grappling for a long time. I've been like doing MMA for a long time. I just wasn't consistent in the UFC because I've been in the UFC for about 5 years, so I haven't got like many fights. There was like entire like years that I didn't fight, but then this last year I did 3 fights, which is like basically where I want to keep it, you know, in terms of how many fights a year. And make my name explode now with like five wins in a row. I know I'm gonna be able to like be in the radar for like most of the people.
Guys, really quick, I think I'm out. I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys, but I'll be back soon.
Go. See you, buddy.
See you, bro.
Pleasure having you on.
See you guys.
Thanks again,
See you.
Marvin.
Bye.
Excellent. And sorry, go ahead, Ian. Cut you off.
Yeah, you're good. Claudio, another thing I know you've implemented, because I've implemented as well, I don't know if you still run as much as you used to, but me and Claudio, actually, we do swim training with a swim coach. Shout out Agua, man. And he puts us through between hard sprints with a parachute on us, breathing exercises, and then just long endurance. How has that felt in the cage with your cardio since you've been doing that?
Man, it's really good. I was never very good at running because like my knee always like seemed to hurt when I run. So I didn't do that type of like cardio where like more like of a long distance cardio. And ever since I started swimming, I just feel like a lot better than running. Like it's like a whole body workout, no impact. And I have this guy Ian pushing me every swim. Like I can never beat him in sprints. He's just too fast. But I get the best on endurance. when we use the parachutes, I'm just like lighter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, because for me in the fights, I start so fast and you just throw like crazy. And then the second, third round, you almost want to not go up and then taper down. You want to slowly build up. So swimming really has helped me a lot with like, hey, I got to beat my time that I did the first one. So, take it easy. So, and I just think the breathing and just the mental clarity that it brings, and with a sore body, I'm just loving it. But Claudio, who is like on your radar to fight in the near future? I know you're going to take a little bit break. I know you're going to go back to Peru. You got your gym over there. But what's on your radar? What are you and Jason thinking up for the next fight? And what's your timeline?
So I'm planning to be back in the States by June. So if I start like my camp in June, I might fight like in August, maybe. I don't know, whatever they get me, August, September. So that would kind of be the timeline. About opponent, oh man, like I have like a couple like guys that I know are close to the top 15, which I consider
names.
There's I don't know, like I'm not exactly sure, but I don't want to call out nobody yet.
Don't be shy, bro.
Listen.
Yeah, you don't have to be shy, Claudio.
Listen, I need to get my new contract first, okay? That's the most important thing for me right now. That also like depends, like how much I'm gonna get paid to who I'm gonna fight. Like that's very important for me. Like don't throw me like in the top 10 if I'm not gonna get paid right. You know, like I know how much these guys are getting paid, so I need to get closer to that, and you know, I feel like I'm earning it. I have like 5 wins in a row. I'm doing the right things every day, so yeah, I think I'm gonna break in there like very soon, probably like by the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Chael, what's your thoughts on that? I totally agree that the opponent has to match the money. And you know, unfortunately, my career didn't look like that. Although the UFC did compensate me, they gave me new contracts after I was 1 fight in the contract, because I did take short notice fights against top 10 guys, against top 15 guys, and I won a few. But then I hedged the bet when I fought Derek Brunson. They said, we'll give you a new huge contract if you win this fight, or you can take a bigger contract right now, but it won't be near the payday. And, you know, of course, I bet it for myself. Unfortunately, that fight did not go my way. But what's your thoughts on matching the opponent with the money? And should you build fighters like kind of fight, not scrubs, because no one's a scrub in the UFC, but should you fight your way to new contracts before you ask for a top 15, top 10? What's your opinion, Joe?
It seems reasonable. Like when I hear that, I will tell you, as obvious as that thought is, I've heard Claudio just said it now, and the only other time I heard it was Patty the Batty brought it up. And I know it's a very simple concept, but until somebody said it out loud, I didn't really factor it in. And there is something to be said for that. You know, do you want to do a 3-fight deal, which used to be real common? Now I'm told they go all the way up to 8-fight deals. And there's really no way to guess. You're right. There's really no way to guess who am I going to see along the way and what are the escalations in my contract. So I know that gets a little bit tricky, and that's more of a game that you guys have to play now. Back when I was with the UFC, they were still very traditionally doing what people have called, you know, the locker room bonus. And so Dana would factor that in. Dana Lorenzo would sit down and go, hey, this was a much harder fight than we thought. And I've heard they don't do that as much anymore with the new ownership. So, I mean, I think Claudio makes a really excellent point. And I do think somebody in his position that really stole the night, particularly with that win over Clay Guida in the fashion that he did it. I mean, I hear that. I think it's relevant. I don't know how to balance that, though. I don't know the perfect balance. Is it better to have a 3-fight contract so you can revisit that sooner? I don't know what the answer is on that.
Yeah. You know, it's always hard. Like I say, MMA math doesn't really add up. It never really adds up. But like you said, you know, does he take the harder fight or does he wait for more money? But Claudio, I mean, that's kind of for you to decide. And, you know, what's Jason thinking about that, your manager?
He told me the same thing. We basically talked about the same thing, because I was like looking very forward to facing top 15. But then I'm like, why am I like, I'm only 26. I just turned 26 like 2 weeks ago. How many years I have left? Like, I'm not even in my prime yet. I believe I can take like maybe 3 more fights, maybe be like a year, like a whole year from now, be a stronger fighter, more experienced fighter, and then face like whatever competition comes, unless they start like, they put me like on a good payday, you know? Like, I don't know. It just depends on what they offer me. That's why I kind of talk like opponents right now, because I need to like see all like that matter first, and then I will decide. Like me and Jason, we gotta like do some work in that. And I'm here in Arizona right now, so we might meet.
Yeah, no, totally understand, man. And how is sponsorships and of course your partnership with Marshall Inu? How has that helped you through your fight camp? And obviously, you gave the shout out after your fight. We know that's a little bit of a no-no now, but you know, that was really cool to see that, you know, it's still being out there. And it's really hard to not speak about something that has helped you out so much, that is paying you so well. It's really hard to keep your mouth shut about that. But I thought it was cool. And what's your thoughts on Marshall Inu helping fighters and the partnership with you as well?
It's just something that I would have never thought about maybe like a year ago. Like, I would have never like thought that was like possible, or that there was gonna come any brand like people doing this. It's just amazing to see how much more people are appreciating fights and fighters, especially how they want to help out like us, like being able to have like a better camp. Like they literally made me like go through my camp worrying a lot less. That's what mattered the most to me, because when I'm like training and giving my all towards a goal, towards like training and building up something, like I want to leave a legacy behind, and I don't have to worry about like the money and that kind of stuff that sometimes like don't even let you sleep, because you're like overthinking about stuff that should be covered, but it's not. So this kind of like well, not these kind of things, like MRI specifically, been helping out a lot, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure like all these other fighters that been like held by them, they appreciate too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've done wonders for so many fighters. I mean, even tonight, I know we have fighters fighting bare knuckle that they've sponsored. I think PFL, and then obviously we have fighters in the UFC fighting tomorrow. So I mean, they're just helping out so many fighters around the globe, and it's just amazing what they've been doing. Going back to we're talking about your leg lock wins, your knee bars. How do you guys feel leg locks in MMA particularly does? Because we've seen high-level jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, we've seen like Ryan Hall, for example, had initial success going for leg locks in MMA, and then in his most recent fight, not do so well. Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou. Cyril was on top position, went for a leg lock, and probably cost him the fight in that position. But Claudio, you've had success with going for leg lock submissions. So how do you guys feel when it comes to leg locks in MMA? It could be very high risk, high reward. What are you guys' opinions on it?
I just think most of the people don't know how to defend them properly. That's like, I wouldn't consider myself like a leg lock guy. I like to work more on top. Like, I actually haven't shown much of my game in my last maybe like 2 fights. That's something I'm excited about, because like people are gonna expect something that is not really my A game. It's just like something I know how to do, and I consider myself good at it. But it's not my main thing. It's not what I work on sparring like most of the times. So if they're gonna be expecting that from me, they're gonna be wrong. Okay, of course I'm dangerous from bottom, but I have like a lot more than I'm gonna show.
And Chael, what's your opinion on people? I mean, even giving up top position, going for legs. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, you should definitely be adverse in attacking the whole body. But statistically speaking, if you were to get all the numbers together, particularly if you took Claudio's 3 leg lock finishes away, you're going to have a hard time finding them. They're really, really rare. I remember the first leg lock I ever saw was back in like 1995, Russian gentleman named Oleg Tektarov. And it was like people used to promise that they had martial arts secret techniques, but nobody did. But that was one. We had never seen it. We never saw anybody do it. And Tektarov won a whole bunch of fights, and then the knee bar transitioned into the heel hook. But all the same, they are very rare. And I think Claudio points out why the guys don't know how to defend them. You do not spend very much time in the practice room working on defense, because offensively, guys don't go for them very often, and you do have that real element of surprise because of that.
That's one point. That's one point. I said like some other place, I don't remember where, but they asked me why people don't defend them very good, and it's just because like most of the people don't go for them. They don't attack. So let's say you don't spend the same time defending a knee bar as you spend the same time defending a rear naked choke or a guillotine. So people go for those kind of chokes all the time. So you defend them, you get good at defending. But how many people go for like knee bars and heel hooks at the gym? It's just like a very small, way smaller percentage.
No, absolutely. And I see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
Okay, what's up, KJ? We got KJ in house, like the one and only Korean Jew.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, KJ?
What's up, brother?
Good to meet you, Claudio.
What's up, KJ? Hey, nice to meet you.
Chael?
Nice to meet you.
Bringing back Oleg Tektarov. I mean, I think I remember it was Dan Severn, like, kneed him in the head repeatedly back in the day. I forget which UFC that was, but Oleg was a monster. But, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
None of us had ever seen it. It was shocking. Hoist Gracie did a version of that. I think he went for a heel hook on Ken Shamrock, and that might have been in like UFC 1. But we had just never seen those kinds of things. Now, Claudio didn't just go, against Clay Guida for a technique that's uncommon. It was also in the setup. Like, Claudio was laser fast. He looked like he was playing some guard game. He distracted him with strikes and rolled into it. I mean, I was in my living room watching it. I rewound it. I thought, okay, he's going for the right leg, but he ended up going for the left leg. Like, there was a lot of things that made that technique perfect when Claudio did it, but I do think it's one of the reasons, Clay got stuck there, and you just go, man, I'm stuck. It's not about how do I get out of this. How you get out of it is don't get put in it. Once you're put in it, Clay did the right thing, man. Tap out and go home in one piece.
That's
like
right.
The result isn't going to change. Whether you go to the emergency room or not is the only thing that's going to change. Clay handled that the right way.
Yeah, I think I saw him competing in wrestling like a couple days after. I was like, oh, I'm glad he's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, Clay Guida's like one of the OGs of the game. Like his style is so crazy. He has Hall of Fame fight with Diego Sanchez, of course. And then he just came on lately. Who did he fight? I think, who did he fight? He fights on Sanford, Claudio. Who is our teammate that Clay just fought?
Oh, Michael Johnson.
Michael Johnson. And just kept hitting him with that left hand. I think Clay's southpaw, right?
No, it was right hand.
Oh, okay. He just kept nailing him right hand over and over. And it was like, wow, man, this guy's striking. Of course, his cardio has always been there, his wrestling and grappling, but man, his striking looked phenomenal. And I was like, man, this guy, his stock flew back up. The eyes were back on Clay. Claudio put that to an end. Super proud and happy of my buddy. And yeah, man, it was super cool to see you get the W. Of course, the shout out with Marshall Inu. That was always fun to see. I was like, you're like sitting there watching. It was unexpected. I was like, oh, bro, he said it. He said it. He's in trouble, but who cares? No, but it was awesome to see, man. And KJ, are you headed out to UFC 274 in Arizona?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it. I wish.
Oh,
Sorry for the
me
background,
too, bro.
but the kids are running amok.
No worries. And Chael, do you often attend UFC fights when you're not commentating, which I know you do once in a while, but do you ever just go and kind of be a fan sometimes?
Generally when I'm commentating, like if they ever came through Portland, I would go, but I always encourage people, like the in-house feel, whatever energy you have in your living room or however much you enjoy it. Like Dana puts a real emphasis on the people that actually came out and took in the show.
Hey, let me ask you guys.
Chael, you cut out. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd like to ask the fighters in the room, all of you fighters. I just got the shit kicked out of me in a sparring session, and I find that I was going against a much more experienced guy, and I knew that going in, and I got really tired. I think I wasn't breathing properly, but like in the first round, I got super tired, and like my cardio is normally pretty good, but like any advice for somebody that's relatively newer to how to bounce back from something like that?
Yes. Show up tomorrow. That's it. There's no better answer. Show up tomorrow. I mean, I'll tell you the difference between when you have a good day, you put on your boots and you go to work. When you have a bad day, you put on your boots and go to work. Like it's the same thing. And then trying to explain the good days from the bad is anybody's guess. The hardest thing will be to show up again the next day and deal with it for better or worse. But that's the answer.
Absolutely. And
Nice.
another thing too, I agree with is fighters, we got to have short memory. Whether you did terrible in practice, forget it. Tomorrow's a new day. Wake up with a new slate. Go back in there. Give your best effort. Even if you did amazing in a practice. And someone once told me when you win a fight or lose a fight, don't believe how good you are and don't believe how bad you are. Just kind of stay somewhere in the middle of that and just keep showing up, man. Consistency is always key.
That's true. I agree on that. I think after a win, like you should also easily forget it. Like, don't be like thinking about it for like 2 or 3 months, because then like you get over your head and you stop training. So you just quickly forget and get back to the gym or like do whatever you gotta do after the fight, and then just keep doing the same. Like if it's working and you're winning fights, like you're doing things right.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, consistency is going to be key.
Yeah, of course. I'm going back in tomorrow morning, and I was kind of asking for it, honestly, because like my trainer had me matched up with guys that were like similar experience in the same range, and I was doing really well. And like I felt like he kept putting me with these guys that I was just more physically or athletically gifted than them, and it was like kind of like I didn't feel any sense of danger. I didn't feel like I was getting better. I felt like they were getting better. So I spoke to him, and I'm like, I think I'm ready for like a little step up. And he's like, all right, you ready? And he fucking put me in there with a guy that was much more experienced. But at the same time, like I looked at him and I said, that's the worst you're ever going to see me, because, you know, it fired me up. It was humbling, but at the same time, it was something I needed, I think, because I was kind of getting complacent against the same guys over and over. So.
I'm sorry, what was this during like MMA sparring or what
It's
kind of sparring?
boxing.
Oh, boxing. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
prepping
man,
for,
exactly. I mean, you gotta fight the best to become the best. You have to train with the best to become the best. And unfortunately, when you fight or train with the best, you lose. You get beat up, and then you start get beat up a little bit less. And then all of a sudden you start getting your little moments. And then all of a sudden you're neck to neck with them. And then eventually you'll start beating those guys. And that will build you'll build your confidence in the gym, but it'll also build your confidence when you walk in the ring cage, whatever it might be. And I mean, I don't know any other way. Chael, would you agree with that?
I fully agree with you. And then you'll spend your whole career trying to answer that question. Like, you'll have a really great day. Unexplainable, you'll have a really great day. And you go, okay, maybe it was the way I warmed up, or maybe it was what I had for lunch, or maybe I slept enough. And then the opposite will happen. You'll go, well, I'm never going to eat that for lunch again, or I'm never going to listen to that song before practice again. We never know. We always try to simulate and have the perfect match, but the truth is, man, we're always chasing it. Definitely don't be down on yourself, and definitely, whatever it is to go back. But there's good days and bad, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, I think from my wrestling days, when I started going to different clubs and competing with like state champions and the top level guys, I know that I got much better like super rapidly. And I felt like, okay, this is boxing. This is it's not the same thing, but I have that competitive fire, and I know that the guys that I'm competing with are not going to make me better. In fact, I'm probably making them better. And instead of letting them catch up to me, I need to step it up. But the difference between boxing and wrestling is when you're outclassed or you're facing someone better, they really kick the shit out of you. So, it's a different thing for sure. But I'm excited to get back at it.
Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail, and that's just how it goes in this game.
I was the fucking nail today, man. I was the nail today.
You did make a good point on the distinction between wrestling, though, versus striking, where guys trying to score points on you as opposed to the guys trying to hurt you. And you got to have good partners, because there's that dick in every single room that's looking for a guy that's tired. And instead of helping him out or carrying him, he wants to expose him. You got to stay away from those guys. Like, that should never happen in the practice room where you leave hurt. Where you leave exhausted, sure. Where you leave beaten, okay. But if you leave hurt, you don't have a good teammate there, man. You found the jerk in the room. Stay away from that guy.
Don't do it, Lloyd.
Yeah, I think I was more tired than hurt. Like he was pushing me to the limit, but he was cool about it. I don't feel like he was. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was trying to knock me out. He didn't, but just tired, Yeah. It's like I got so tired I couldn't defend myself.
Yeah, guys. All right, hot takes. What hot takes? What is everyone's predictions for the fight card tomorrow? We're gonna end it on this one.
Main event, or
Let's start off with the main event.
I think Oliveira takes it by submission.
Oliveira.
I
All
think
right.
Submission.
I'm cheering for Gaethje. You got to cheer for Gaethje at this point. I'm cheering for Gaethje.
I think Gaethje by KO.
Yeah, I mean, I love Oliveira. I love the humble beginnings he's come from. The guy was like 0-3 or something. He lost 3 in a row in the UFC, and look where he's at now. So it's an amazing story. But he missed weight. He's been on top for a while. Gaethje seems really hungry. He's kind of the human highlight reel. And either way, I believe Gaethje's going to win. But either way, it's going to be a good fight.
Damn it, 3-1.
My hot take is Ferguson's going to win by submission.
Okay.
I think he pulls it out. And if he doesn't, do you think he's out of the UFC in lieu of the comments that he made during the presser?
Yeah, it could be.
Is he cooked if he loses? What do you think, Joe?
Oh, Tony Ferguson. I'm sorry, I was stuck on Oliveira. No, I don't think Ferguson out. As a matter of fact, I mean, Ferguson making crazy comments, in all fairness, I think it's in one ear and out the next. I've never been more certain of a match in my life. I am certain Chandler's going to win. Even when you're giving these breakdowns, like you'll have that late, well, it could be a puncher's chance. I think if Ferguson hit Chandler as hard as he could with Chandler's hands down, it still doesn't knock him out. I think it's a really uphill battle for Tony Ferg, which does not bring me pleasure to say, but it's a pretty bad matchup at this point in his career.
So I think we're gonna see a very strategic Michael Chandler as opposed to his last couple fights, where he was like trying to bring the crowd to go crazy. I think he's gonna go back to his like old self, gonna take Ferguson down and like just like ride it out. I think he's gonna win like decision.
Yeah, I like Ferguson, but I'm team Chandler all day on that fight. I believe Michael Chandler is just he's just on another level right now. He's really coming into his own, and obviously we train with him, but little bias there. But even if I wasn't training with him, I would agree with the same as Chael.
And what about with the Rose and Carla fight, guys?
Rose, the
Rose,
UFC sweetheart. I am the best.
I am the best. That was
I am the
for me.
best.
KJ, what you think?
Yeah, I think Rose should take that pretty. She'll take it.
Joe?
I'm going with Rose, and I love what she had to say before the fight. She's very aware that, statistically speaking, her only way to lose is to get taken down and held there. She said she worked on her wrestling. She's fully aware of this. I think she probably loses the first round, in fairness. I think Carla's going to come out with a real urgency to take her down. I think she's probably going to succeed. I think Rose loses the first round and wins the next 4.
Excellent. And Claudio?
I mean, of course, Rose is going to be the favorite. But there's like one thing about Carla. I think she has that specific style that beats Rose. I think like she's like the only one that could maybe pull it out. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I've trained with her before, and I know she works hard. But I don't know. I just know she has the style. But yeah, Rose gotta be the favorite. So probably Rose by decision.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. All right, guys. That, I think, wraps up today's show. Today's my coach's birthday, so I got to run out. He's still holding training session today, so shout out to Coach Daniel. Still going to kick our ass today.
Let's go. And one thing, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm dropping a ton of content about Marshall Inu and just some cryptocurrencies that I am in. And Chael, I would love to have you on sometime if you'd ever be willing to, or come on yours and talk about it. So, that would be awesome.
Anytime. And congrats, man. I didn't know you started that. Congrats. I'll help spread the word for sure.
Thank you, Chael.
Excellent. Appreciate you guys being
Thanks,
on here,
Claudio.
sharing your knowledge. Good show today, guys.
Good to see you guys. Enjoy the fights.
Awesome to be here. Bye,
Have a
guys.
good one.